Yo, what's good? It's Drop from ProducerPolish.com. Thanks for checking out the video. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and definitely send me any messages you may have to letitdropmusic@gmail.com. In this video, I wanted to go over two things that you should be doing in every mix that you do, whether it's on a beat or whether it's on a song. There's two big questions that you want to ask yourself, and two things that you want to be looking at, you know, when you ask yourself these questions. And basically that's your sound stage and your frequency range. So you want to ask yourself, am I using the whole sound stage and am I using the whole frequency range? Every time that you mix a song, you want to make sure that you can say yes to both of those questions. So I got a beat lined up here, and I was EQing it, and I figured right now would be a good time for you to actually see how I would mix with the frequency range in mind. And also I can kind of show you here of some panning techniques that I used. I've already bounced down the beat here, as you can see. So I mean, I'm halfway through, 3/4 of the way through here. Some stuff might change a little bit later on, but you can really get a good idea of putting everything in its place, because that's the main thing with EQing, is to put everything in its place. And then on top of that, once you have everything in its place, you want to be able to say, am I using all of the space available to me? So just a quick rundown on frequencies and EQs. You have the human ear, which hears anywhere from 20 up to 20 kilohertz, and there's sound that goes beyond that, and harmonics that'll be played beyond that and below this, but this is what the human ear picks up. So you want to make sure that you're using every one of those frequency ranges, or else you're going to be lacking a little bit in your mix. So I have laid out here some instruments, and I'll go ahead and play the beat here, and I'll go through the EQs. So right here on the right hand side, I have my drums. So this is a master EQ on all my drums. You can see I have my highs boosted up a bit. I have my mid-range taken out just a little bit to leave some space for the voice. And then one big thing that you wanna handle when putting everything in its place is your bass gonna be below your kick drum, you know, or vice versa? Is your kick drum going to be below your bass? Sometimes you'll find that the bass rides up with a higher frequency. You know, it doesn't always have to be a sub frequency. Like a lot of times we think of bass and we think of sub, you know, and you want to. Sometimes the normal thing to do is tend to boost these low frequencies here. But sometimes that's not the case. In this particular beat, it is the case. My kick drum is riding more like that mid bass area. So right now I have a boost in the mid bass, and I cut a little bit here on the low bass, and I'll probably even cut a little bit more, and actually usually take out some of the very low end just to kind of clean it up. And then this is my bass EQ. So I'm not using any high frequencies in my bass, so I just went ahead and used a low pass filter, cut all of my highs out, and then I gave a little bit of a dip there, right around, if you can see, right around where I made the peak there on the kick drum, and then I raised it just a very slight amount on the low end. You know, you don't have to go crazy with the low end and raising it up, but I felt that it was okay with this particular mix. So that's how I took care of now my very low end, and now I took care of my mid bass area. And then I have this other instrument here. This is more just a fill-in instrument. It's kind of just playing the background here, but it's filling in my mid area there. And I'll let the beat ride here. So you can kind of hear it there. It's that very dark chord that's being held out, kind of spacey. And then here's my strings right here. So you can see it's right around the 1K, a little bit higher, and also I had that dip there. So these are my background chords. I have a little bit of dip there around 1K, and then the strings, which are pretty loud, pretty prominent in the track, I have a boost right there in 1K. Now this new melody that just was introduced, I boosted around 1K. This is kind of overlapping with the strings, and then I also boosted it a little bit more around the 2, 3, 4 area there, and then again even higher I have another set of chords here. which are just kind of riding really high. So I've raised the cutoffs on these all the way up, and these are, you know, playing as high as they can go. A lot of times in the plugins that you use, they'll have this cutoff feature. You know, it's a pretty common knob. Like you would have your attack, your release settings. That's a pretty common knob. Cutoff's another pretty common knob. That's in a lot of different plugins. So if you know that you have an instrument that's particularly high, then you want your cutoff to be set high, so that way it's playing the full range of that instrument. You know, so you don't always have to go in and make sure that your highs are up in your actual EQ. So that's how I EQ the beat, and now I know that I have an instrument that's riding on the very high side, all the way up to 20 kilohertz. I have an instrument that, you know, is hitting all the different frequencies, and each instrument that's in this beat is in its own place. They're all playing to each individual frequency. So that's the big thing. You want to make sure that you're using the full frequency range, and that every instrument has its own place. So the other question, the number 2 question that you need to ask is, am I using my whole sound stage? And when you record a stereo track, your sound stage is the full range from all the way left 100 to all the way right 100. So right now, like I said, this is kind of like 3/4 of the way through, so I don't have all my instruments and pannings out that I used. Like especially on the drums, you'd want to use some pans on your hi-hats. You know, a good way to think of it is like you're sitting at the drum set, and you know, just kind of where those instruments are placed to your body. That's kind of how you can make it sound. You know, to get this correct sound stage, you're gonna want to set speakers up, a couple speakers up, ear level height, sit right in between them, so that way you have a nice triangle, and you'll really be able to catch the sound stage. And it makes a really big difference. It really makes your mixes come to life when you use the full sound stage. So we'll let this play out here, and you notice the strings I have a little bit panned to the right, and then I have my background chords, they're a little bit panned to the left. So I actually panned them in my plugin here, so I have them to the left there, and the strings are already bounced down, so I can't show you the pans, but you can see there on the meters that they're a little bit to the right. So that way I'm using at least both sides of the spectrum there. And then there's the melody, the main melody. It's mostly towards the middle, maybe slightly right, but mainly in the middle because it's the melody, so I want it to be prominent. So you can see how I kind of used both sides, and it's important to use the full spectrum. Like say we were mixing a song with vocals in it, you'd want to use the full spectrum. Like I don't tend to want to use just a little bit. Like in these in this particular example and with these instruments, I only panned them out slightly left, slightly right, because they're both stereo instruments, and you're gonna have some space anyway, because they're you know, playing in a stereo field anyway. So they're already pretty big, is what I'm trying to say. So I didn't have to use much. But like if you were using a mono instrument, like guitars a lot of times, or vocals especially, you know, if you were to record 3 stacks of vocals, you know, you might want to have one in the middle, one 100 to the left, one 100 to the right, and that's good. You know, you don't want to have it 50 or 30 to the left, 50 or 30 to the right. Use that full soundstage. Make sure that the knobs are turned all the way as much as they can go, so you're really catching the wide range of the soundstage and of that stereo field. So hopefully some of that helped. We'll leave it at that one. Definitely like the video, subscribe to the channel, send me a message at letterdropmusic.com. Producer polish is definitely on the in the works. It's on the way, so keep in contact with me, and definitely let me know if there's anything that you want to you know, learn about or want me to post a video on, or if you have any questions about this video, definitely leave them in the comments below, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.